Today, we're going to be trying to diagnose a problem with the Sram Force AXS rear derailleur. Now, what you need to do is you need to make sure, first, you need to make sure that the derailleur hanger is adjusted properly. And to do this, you're going to need to have a Park Tool DAG hanger tool. And what this does is this just checks to make sure that the hanger, the part of the frame that the derailleur screws into, is in a line, or is aligned properly. You need to make sure that the wheel is in the dropout all the way. I've already done that with this, and you're going to screw the derailleur tool into the hanger. You want to line it up with a reference point on the wheel. In this case, we're just using the valve as a reference point. We're going to adjust the arm here to where it's about a millimeter from the wheel, half a millimeter in this case, and we're going to go around and we're going to check to make sure that it is the same distance all the way around. In this case, this is dead perfect. But I should know this because I've already been going through these steps trying to diagnose this issue. Once you have determined that the derailleur hanger is aligned properly, then you can go through the steps of adjusting the derailleur as far as electronically with the gears. And again, I've already done that with this, and that might be why you're watching this video, because you have already done this as well. You've already gone through all the steps. Now, we have checked the hanger on this. We've adjusted this derailleur several times, and I'll tell you what's going on. We've adjusted this, we've taken it out for a ride. Everything seems to be working good. But after so many miles, the customer complains about the shifting not being consistent. And I have checked excessive play in the derailleur. I've checked everything, and it's the customer, we get it adjusted properly, it seems like. The customer leaves, and then he complains about shifting. Well, I did find that this SRAM derailleur, whenever you're in certain gears, there could be no play, but I failed to. This is something that's new. What's happened is basically the gears that the customer uses the most, whenever I put the derailleur into that adjustment, or at that point, I checked the play in the derailleur, and I noticed that there was a lot of play in certain gears, and it was the gears that the customer used the most. I'll show you. Now, on this derailleur, see if we can see, I'm going to get it close, and there's a little bit of play there, and I'm not pulling on the derailleur too hard. That I don't see a lot of play. Now, if we get in certain gears, like around the mid-range, so I'm shifting it here and trying to get some play, and everything, oh, there we are. When the chain's in a certain position, let's do the arm here, you don't see any play. However, whenever you're in the big ring, then look at all the play. That pivot, the pivot in that derailleur starts to flop around quite a bit. So far, we have a significant less amount of play there. Not seeing anything there. Now, to pair these, the derailleur to the shifters, what you need to do is locate the button just right here at the front of the derailleur here. Hold it for several seconds until you start to see the LED blink quickly. You locate the button on the back side of the shifter here. You hold it for several seconds until you see the light blink much quicker. Okay, that one is paired. Now, you locate the button on the back of the left shifter and you hold it for several seconds until it blinks quickly. And then you need to get out of the pairing, so you hold this or you tap it, and then we're in business. That's the left one, that's the right shifter. We're good. We're reinstalling the SRAM flat top chain. Now, please make sure you put the chain on properly. You want the flat part up, the curved part down on the gears. I say this, but I actually had a customer that did install his upside down. But if you just take a look, it's pretty obvious if you were to glance at it if something looks wrong. All right. Now we're going to be working with a little bit of a handicap today because the customer, for some reason, only included one battery with his bike, so I can't really shift the front. Of course, I can transfer the battery from the back to the front, and I can shift the front, but then I won't be able to shift the back, which is actually a pretty cool little thing that you can do. If you're on a ride and your your battery ends up dying, you can switch the batteries to the one that you use the most, the derailleur you use the most, and be able to limp back home because the batteries are interchangeable. Let's install the master link, making sure that we're putting matching up the flat top part of the link with the flat top part of the chain. And we're going to link them together. Come on, why am I having trouble here? There we go. We're going to get it to the top, put a little pressure, snaps into place. Let's check the gears. Amazingly, it's pretty close already. All right, we're not going to have to do much on the adjustment. However, you want to make sure that these limit screws are screwed in. I've had so many people, as good as this was shifting already, I've had so many people that they don't adjust the limit screws in on the derailleur, and you know, they were doing fine, but we're going to adjust these limit screws in just to make sure, because I have this fear of the chain going too far over, you know, one way or the other. So you want to locate a metric Allen, and it's going to be the 2mm. Yes, it is. The 2mm Allen. With the derailleur being in the lowest gear, I'm going to screw the limit screw until it makes contact with the derailleur, and no more, because this one is already adjusted pretty good. We're going to shift this down to the 12th gear. With the top screw here for the high gear, you're going to put your 2mm Allen key, and you're going to screw it in until it makes contact with the stop there. And if you go too far, the derailleur starts to move. So we're just going to screw it until it makes contact, and we're going to stop. So we're going to go up and down several times. All right. Now we need to adjust the B tension screw on here where the pulley, the top mount pulley, is closer to the big gear, or if you're in the first gear in the back. And that is actually very well adjusted the way it is. So the pulley, you can see where the pulley upper pulley is and the gear is, and you just want to make sure that the chain has, as it's going along, that there's a little tiny gap up top at the closest point and a little tiny gap at the bottom, because if it's too close, what happens is the chain starts to grind going from one gear to the next for the couple of gears, and it's just really kind of noisy. Yes. Yes. Oh, yes. I am back from the test rod, and we've got this figured out. The shifting is so perfect, it's so good that the other one was shifting well. It's just whenever you were in a certain gear range, going back and forth within like 3 or 4 gears, it would start to not work properly. And me going through all the gears, what was happening is, I believe what was going on was, I'd shift up to the first gear in the back, it kind of reset the worn out pivot, and as I'm going through the gears, that pivot wouldn't slide back into its little bad spot, which would cause the inconsistent shifting within the few gears the customer really liked. So try to find out what gears the customer likes and try to use those yourself if you're trying to determine if it's a worn out derailleur. You can look at the pivot on the derailleur, and I'll have an up close view of it, or I had an up close view of it and it is quite clearly worn out. It is sliding back and forth. Hopefully the camera will get a good shot of it. So if this video was helpful, please leave me a big thumbs up. Check out some of my other videos just right over here. Subscribe to my channel up there, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks.